This could be bad, or this could be good. We are live with a Monday edition of your wildest fantasy football show.
We are.
Toady, how was your Monday? I want to start there because we got off to a little bit of a late start. Normally, I'm the one with the late starts, but today it was you, and I just thought it may be interesting if we started on time, but you were to start a little late.
It's a good Monday so far. Just doing a couple things around the house. I joined and then I left to go do a couple more things because I didn't see your face, and I said, "No way are we starting right now." But hey, here we are. It's good to see you. How's your Monday going, Kondo?
Oh, it's great. As you said, taking care of business every day. Taking care of business.
In the USA.
There's another line.
I don't know.
Monday following week 12. As you know, we were not here Thursday, Friday, so we have all the Thanksgiving games to cover for you today, as well as the weekend slate, where a lot happened. A lot of running backs down injured.
Amen.
A lot of you preparing for, even us, our fantasy playoffs. Trade deadlines, most have already passed. If not, they are coming up very soon. So we are here to get you as prepared as we are possible of doing, starting with covering the Chicago Bears at Detroit Lions game that kicked off week 12 on Thanksgiving. First thing to talk about here, DeAndre Swift has been an awesome running back this year, but he went down with a shoulder sprain, probably disappointed for most of you looking for RB1 numbers from him. Not great reports out of that. Dan Campbell says they are going to take a wait-and-see approach. Jamal Williams would be the next guy up. 15 carries for 65 yards, 5 catches for 18 yards, 13.3 fantasy points on Thursday. I say that he'd be a fine floor replacement if Swift were to miss any time. It's hard to expect the upside that he brings. Just it being the Detroit Lions, it's hard to expect any upside. But I think that he's a fine floor play that could get you 10 points every week, especially with the catching volume.
Right. I have a little bit more faith in Javonte Williams. Big controversy.
Jamal Williams,
sorry. Big controversy earlier on from Kondo in my season where I traded for Williams. Chicago's a top 10 team against the run. I don't know if everyone knows that. We bash Chicago a lot just because they have no quarterback, no matter who it is back there. But their defense is top 10 in terms of points allowed to the running back. Williams did not, if we're being honest, probably didn't get that many starter rotation snaps, coming into the week. So I think to pop off for a 13.3 game against a top 10 defense, not getting all the snaps, kind of just being sprung into the moment here, I think he did fine. I'm not expecting Swift numbers because Swift was running back 5, running back 4, something insanely high. I am expecting RB12 to I'm expecting borderline RB1, more likely just good upside RB2 numbers from Williams.
So are you expecting, you're kind of seeing this more as an AJ Dillon situation?
Right. If Swift goes down, which I think he will be for at least a week or two, I think Williams steps up and produces at a slightly less prolific volume like Swift was, but still a very good running back. To go 15 for 65 against a top 10 run team when you're not even expecting to really be playing, I think that's a fine mark to hit. Definitely could be a lot worse. And they're playing Minnesota next week. So if we're being honest, our defense isn't there this year. We're injured. We got injured again this game with Anthony Barr. We'll talk about that later, maybe. I will just because I'm a big Vikings guy. But Vikings defense isn't a scary defense, especially with all the injuries we've had. So I'm loving Williams. Definitely next man up mentality. And I think he has all the pieces in place to have a prolific couple games.
Yeah, I'm gearing him a little bit lower, but I don't think it's that much
Right.
of a difference. You're going to start him if you have him. I'm sure that he is going to be a popular waiver guy. He's definitely going to be in our conversation. Just depends with all of these running back injuries that happen this week,
Right.
where the timelines are for all those guys is going to dictate a lot of how we rate these guys in our waiver discussion.
Right.
As for the other side of the ball, just a Darnell Mooney appreciation segment, I suppose. He's been great of late, but I think he's also been like really good the majority of the year, despite the situation that this offense has been in, where we're talking about this offensive guru coach getting fired because the offense is not producing. He's averaging 12.9 a game, 12 plus in 6 of his last 8. He's getting targets, has 5+ targets since then. I'm not loving him as like a high wide receiver 2, but I feel better about having Darnell Mooney than I probably imagined when I had Darnell Mooney and picked him up.
Right. So I think a lot of people might not know this, but Andy Dalton has been the quarterback for the Bears the last 2 weeks. Those last 2 weeks, Darnell Mooney put up a 23.1 game and a 17.5 game with no touchdown this week with the 17.5 game. So even without a touchdown, Darnell Mooney is still producing with Andy Dalton back there. So if Andy Dalton is the quarterback, I really like it. Whereas when Fields was the quarterback, it seemed to be every other week with Darnell Mooney, kind of like a Myles Gaskins case of every other week, minus week 8 and 9, where he just went off for week 9. But again, with Andy Dalton back there, Darnell Mooney seems to be thriving.
Yeah, I mean, he has 100 yards in the last 2 with Dalton, so I can't falter there. He did have double digits or over 12 in 3 of the last 4 with Fields before the bye week, though, as well. I just think he's a really good player. Like, we're starting to see him emerge as the number 1 here, which I don't think was the expectation for anybody with Allen Robinson there. And he's just a guy, like, if you picked him up on waivers, you kind of found something. You're just like, well, this is a guy that I have to consider every week. Or if your trade deadline is still going,
Right.
I think most were last week, but someone that you may be able to package with somebody for a guy you might feel a little bit more confident in a better offense.
Right.
Going.
I had a question for this game, Kondo.
Oh, sure.
I said David Montgomery. I had a question mark about him. Playing Detroit, 29th worst team in terms of points to the running back. Barely scrapes by with 10.4 to get you barely double digits. What do we make of David Montgomery? It was a close game. Like, it wasn't even like it was a blowout or they were behind, so they had to throw it. Like, what do you make of his day? 17 for 46 on the ground, 3 for 3 for 28 through the air.
I'm not too worried. We've seen them do this with Darrell Henderson earlier in the year. They shut him down. He had 9.4, 15 for 45 on the ground, just not a very effective day. This Detroit defense has situations where they can come up and stop the run. It's not a week in and week out, and they will get gashed from time to time. But
this is 3 weeks basically in a row because they had the bye week, week 10, in which in half-point PPR, Dave Montgomery got you below 10 points in half-point. In full point, he barely got you 10 week 9, and he barely got you 10 this week because of the 3 catches this week and the 2 catches in week 9. Besides that, he has gotten underneath double digits since he's come back. I guess that's where I'm more concerned with is Dave Montgomery was a guy we were both high on earlier on before the injury. Since the injury, he's come back and he has done, like, being honest, terrible. I mean, he's putting up numbers similar to Kenyon Drake, and he's supposed to be the RB1, whereas Kenyon Drake or even like a Boston Scott, someone like that, is putting up comparable numbers to him right now. So I'm just wondering what your mindset is going on with him.
I mean, he didn't have a great productivity game against Detroit, but he was fine efficiency-wise against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. So I'm not like worried about him as like a player.
Mhm.
The touches have been down a little bit. Back in the beginning of the season, he was seemingly getting like 15 touches plus. This week he got 20, so that kind of helps him in that regard. But then this week he wasn't that efficient. So I'm not worried too much about David Montgomery if he's my running back 2. I'm a little bit more worried if he's my RB1.
Right.
But we talk about playoff schedule a lot too. Minnesota, Seattle, and then the Giants. Giants defense didn't play that bad this week.
Right.
But I'm not too worried about David Montgomery, and I don't really know like what you do with him at this point in the season. Anyway.
I guess I'm more worried about him than you are, because against Detroit, a game in which we thought they were going to, like, it was going to be a great David Montgomery day, to barely get you 10 points, especially if you are a playoff bound team looking to win it. Being frank, he's he's not a confident wide or running back 2 right now. Like, if you're going into the playoffs, you want a guy who is going to be getting you, because not every league's full point, half point, he's getting you underneath 10 points. You don't want that from your RB2 going into the playoffs. That's going to cost you weeks.
But what are I think it's because the
Mhm.
deadline in most leagues has already passed that I'm like, what do you do about that? Like, are you sitting David Montgomery? Because I don't think you're sitting him.
I don't know. It's tough. If you were in a league to trade, I would try to look to move him. If you have him on your team, that's just rough cooking.
Interesting. Going to a team that has had a couple storylines going on. Both teams pretty busy with storylines throughout the year. The Raiders and the Cowboys. I want to talk about the Raiders side first because it was a really good offensive performance for them.
There's boys.
2 wide receivers that had big days, and I want to get your opinion on which one was more meaningful or which one you care about. D-Jack obviously came over from the Rams, got released, and signed with the Raiders. 3 for 102 and a touchdown on 4 targets, 19.2. And then Zay Jones, 5 for 59 on 7 targets with 11.3. Which one of these catches your eye more?
Zay Jones. Deshaun Jackson, everyone knows what he is. He is a guy who doesn't need a lot of touches to have a big day, just because he is the fader. He is, throw it 35 yards, hope Deshaun can outrun everyone, go to the house. Zay Jones getting 7 looks. Granted, this was just a game in which they passed the ball mercilessly on both sides of the field here. So I guess Zay Jones is the guy I like more, just because everyone kind of knows Deshaun Jackson is going to get 1 or 2 looks. And is this going to be for a deep run? Hopefully he breaks for a touchdown. Whereas this was Zay Jones's best game in terms of the most targets he's received throughout the year. 7. His previous record was 4 against the Giants. Now he's got 7. So I guess Zay Jones is the guy I'm most blown away by.
Yeah, I would also say Zay Jones, even though I'll be interested to see where both of these guys come in. I'm pretty sure they will probably both be honorable mentions, again, just with the running back situations that have occurred this week. The target volume is very interesting, especially not knowing if Waller, he might miss 1 game, but at this point, 2 games in the regular season for most people, that's pretty big. Like, it could be a make or break week for you. So Zay Jones getting that hopeful target volume is encouraging to me. I'd like to see what the snap counts were for both guys as well. Zay Jones was out there for 69% of the snaps, and Deshaun Jackson was out there for 48% of the snaps. So Zay Jones is just out there more. I think that is the guy that I would probably rather have right now.
Right.
Talk about the tight end situation there. Darren Waller left the game early.
He did.
he had an IT band strain. And I don't even want to speculate on if that's like a good thing or a bad thing because I didn't know that was a thing.
You didn't know. Wait, you didn't know what? Like when
I didn't know that
is?
like an IT band was a thing. I thought that's like people who work on computers
Mhm.
and then they might just like after hours say, hey, you guys want to jam in my garage? I didn't
Right.
know that that was a part of the body.
Mhm. So, I mean, for people who don't know, it's on the outside of your knee is what he actually hurt. It's what an IT sprain is. He sprained his knee. So, kind
The
of
outside.
the outside of his knee, kind of important just because you
Why
look
didn't they
funny
just say knee sprain?
because they're telling you what he sprained, kind of, and giving you because knee sprain. There's a lot of stuff in there. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what you do with. I think you put Waller, you keep Waller, obviously. Um, do you pick up Murillo, MRR?
Foster Moreau had
Yeah.
6 for 60 and a touchdown, which is 18 fantasy points in full point PPR in week 6 when Waller missed. That would
Mhm.
be one of my moves
Right.
if I
'Cause
have
he's out there.
Waller. And if I have Waller, that's probably my move. There is another tight end that we will get to later
Right.
that I have high hopes for.
Mhm.
But if I have Waller, that would kind of just be the easy solution. And I think the most upside out of any tight end that you can get on the waiver market, even if you don't have Waller and need a replacement for a week or two.
Right. I'm with you.
Probably the big headline, one of maybe the biggest headlines of the weekend is the Zeke news. Zeke had 16.9. He only had 9 for 25 on the ground. Had a pretty efficient day. Coming down with a lot of catches, though. Also had a touchdown. They say that he could be limited or held out to rest his injured knee. And that obviously opens the door for Tony Pollard, who had 16.8 in this one, 10 for 36, 4 for 32 receiving, and also a kick
Mhm.
return touchdown. This situation, I mean, we talked a little bit about it last week, got a little bit in front of this one, but it's smart for the Cowboys, but really sucks for fantasy purposes because it feels like we're going to be split here. But I think it could suck more because it's still the Cowboys. And I mean, I could see both of these guys still getting like 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Pollard literally would have been you could have started Tony Pollard this week instead of Zeke and been fine. They literally 0.1 point off. Could have been fine, kind of what I was hinting at last week. Tony Pollard is a fantastic athlete, in case people didn't realize this. Fun fact, Kondo. Do you happen to know how many special teams touchdowns Zeke has?
Well, Zeke doesn't play special teams. So
Don't matter. All the games Zeke's played, no special teams touchdowns. One game. Tony Pollard needs one game, one tutty. All right. I'm just going to state the facts out there. Zeke's been playing for like 10 years, now one special teams. Honestly, you want the guy who's going to put in the gritty hard work for you, day in, day out, week in, month in. Okay. Tony Pollard's the guy. Zeke going down. I think rest is just an excuse. I think they're going to trade Zeke away because they don't need him anymore. Pollard is the man back there. He is. We both just agreed, hell of an athlete. Obviously, special teams touchdowns get you something. Be able to run the ball better than Zeke, another quality right there. Catch the ball more elusive in the open field than Zeke, right there. You have probably the best, or if not a top 3 best O line in the league to run behind. Anyone can.
I don't know about that anymore.
It.
They looked bad last week.
They looked bad, but I think it was Thanksgiving. They were just tired, all that turkey and stuff.
Lethargic.
I'm not going to hold it against them. But Tony Pollard is just a boss back there. So honestly, I think they should just sit Zeke and get more trade value out of him if they let him rest up, because you don't need him anymore. Dallas, we done boys, but like we done boys without Zeke. So here we go.
So I'll talk about this fairly honestly. Try to give it an unbiased opinion here. I was previously biased, being a big Zeke guy. Now I feel like I'm kind of in this middle ground where, like I said, it's just going to be a pain for fantasy managers because we don't know how this is going to work out and how the split's going to be.
Because you can't start both of them. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Like, it doesn't.
No.
Does that?
Because I don't think either of them offer you. I think that's the problem right now is that it's going to be. You knew that Zeke offered you more upside before because of the touchdowns. Because when they get to the goal line, this is an offense that can score 30 points. You knew they were going to use Zeke at the goal line. So I think that's why Zeke was the upside play. Now I don't really know who the upside play is going to be.
The guy who can score a touchdown on special teams and run it 105 yards through 11 defenders. That's the guy who's going to give you the most upside is Tony Pollard.
Let's look. I think upside, as I would define it, is touchdowns because touchdowns are going to win you weeks. Like those are the things that are going to put you over the edge. Tony Pollard has 2 touchdowns this year. I think is the real thing that probably in general separates him from Zeke. Like if he and Zeke had the same amount of touchdowns, I'd be interested to see where they would rank up next to each other. And I don't think we can do as quick a math as is needed on this show, but
you stall for like 10 seconds. I can.
Okay. But just going back into the situation here, I think it's going to be like a looking and like trying to see what happens this week. I think if you're a fantasy manager, you're kind of obviously preferring that Zeke sits out this week, can get back healthy, but I'm not sure I'm banking on that. If Zeke goes and they're both out there, I think right now I'm leaning playing Pollard, which I think you could say is a pretty bold thing. Like if I'm going to start Pollard over Zeke next week, then probably a lot of people are. And anybody following the show would probably say that as well.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you saw Pollard was more productive last game. I think it's in part because of the injury and in part because they seek opportunities to get him outside, which I think is really valuable in today's NFL, just getting your running backs outside and getting them the ball in space. But yeah, I would probably go with Pollard until we see this situation kind of unfold. I would not feel bad if you have Zeke and not Pollard. I wouldn't feel bad about starting Zeke. I think they're now just like floor RB2s, unfortunately, and then hope that they get you in the end zone and can get you up into that 12 mix. But I think they're both pretty safe options as around 10-point guys. It's just going to be who's going to get the touchdowns. Is Pollard going to get more passing game work and all the work outside the 20s or stuff like that? It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Right. So I just did some quick math.
Beautiful.
Zeke, if you take away 7 of his touchdowns, so they have the same amount at 2, he only has 20 more points than Tony Pollard on the year. Zeke has 160 rushing attempts. Tony Pollard only has 100. But I mean, one is the starter and one is the backup. So kind of what you expect. He also has 15 more targets in the pass game than Tony Pollard. So again, kind of what you expect from the starter. But when Pollard gets the ball, he is more efficient than Zeke. 4.5 yards a rush for Zeke, 5.3 for Pollard. 6 yards of reception for Zeke, 8.8 yards of reception for Pollard. Again, one guy is more explosive. Granted, one guy does have a couple. Zeke does get more rushes inside the 20 for sure. So that kind of swings it a little bit. But I mean, if you give Pollard some more rushes, I'm sure he would deliver inside the red zone because he's not we make it sound like Tony Pollard can't run, like as
I don't think anybody's saying that.
Oh no, but some people are like Zeke when people assume like Zeke gets all the inside work, they're like, oh, he must not be able to run through people. No, Tony Pollard can run through people. He can run around people too. He can do both. It's just that when you have Zeke on your team, the name means so much, and obviously Zeke doesn't.
I don't know about that. I still think Zeke's a good run. Like, I think you could play the game with, and I don't want to say that Tony Pollard's not more explosive, but like, would you rather have Devin Singletary or Dalvin Cook? Devin Singletary is rushing for more yards per carry than Dalvin Cook. I don't want to take anything away from Tony Pollard. I just said I'm starting him over Zeke, but like,
right.
I think they're comparable. Like, I think Tony Pollard's been probably more of an X factor this year. He has been. But the thing that I've been talking about all year for Zeke is that touchdown volume and the room for upside in the ability to score touchdowns for an explosive offense. And now that we don't know if we're going to have that, we don't know how many of the goal line snaps he's going to get. He's still very valuable, even if they just use him inside the 20s, like the Bills used to use Zach Moss. But I just don't know how the situation is going to unfold. I don't think anybody does.
I know. I am the owner, so it is, insider information here.
That's fair. So I imagine it's pretty easy for you in starting Pollard over Zeke this upcoming Thursday.
All day, every day. Especially since it is a Thursday game. I think that's what really pushes it over. That Zeke, I don't think is going to be 100%. I'm frozen. There it is. So laggy right now. I don't think Zeke's going to be fully healthy to play.
Yeah, I think it would probably be nice for fantasy managers if they were to give Zeke some time off. They have a lot of COVID stuff going on too right now. Mike McCarthy out for the game with that. They're doing some testing right now. We don't know of any players yet, but we will keep you updated on that throughout the week. Going on to the Buffalo at New Orleans game. Buffalo just a blowout here. As Toady is dazed and confused.
I'm frozen. It's so bad. You gave me your nasty Wi-Fi. I saw you came over and
I just fixed it. I don't know if anybody could tell.
You fixed it right now.
I had to get a 50-foot Ethernet cable to be able to fix and try to boost the production value. And now Toady just freezes every 5 seconds.
Oh
but I think it adds to just the personality of the show.
Right. If it
Buffalo, New Orleans, Josh Allen, Diggs had fine days. Even Dawson Knox caught 2 touchdowns. Probably happy about that. But Matt Breida, Moss, as the person I just mentioned, healthy scratch. Breida went 9 for 26, 2 catches for 29 yards, and a touchdown, 13.5 fantasy points. He is also available in 94% of leagues. Were you encouraged by what Matt Breida did? Because if you look at the rushing numbers, like, it wasn't efficient. It was against New Orleans, who's been a pretty good run defense for not only this year, but a few years now. Is this Matt Breida's thing like something or nothing?
I'm going to go with nothing. They have 3 running backs in that backfield who are all around each other's talent-wise. I don't think that I feel more comfortable saying Devin Singletary is a better athlete than Matt Breida. And yeah, Matt Breida is getting more of the work, more of the, better fantasy numbers. But they also have 3 running backs back there. It's by committee. You like to stay away from committees as best as you can, i.e., number one example being Philly right now. So I'm not super encouraged by Matt Breida's day. I mean, good for him, but again, no one really started him. No one's really playing him, so not too much to worry about for him.
Yeah, Devin Singletary, 68% of the snaps to Breida's 32. Also, I feel as if we look for somebody in this Buffalo backfield just desperately, and And we haven't gotten anything yet, and it's been years.
No.
It's been almost 2 years now where we haven't had anything. Maybe we just have to give up on trying to search for who's going to be good in this backfield consistently because maybe it's just nobody. Did you have anything else from this one?
No. I just said, Cole Beasley was not a bad day. I think I said it was a turning point for Cole Beasley.
Oh, boy.
From the 2 down games he had, I mean, he went on like the 3-game run or 2-game run in the 20s. Then he went down to 11, then 3, then 6. Now he's coming back up to 9. Next week he's going to break double digits, get you like 12 to 13. So
he's just got that momentum churning.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of them waves, Cole Beasley. Oh, did we talk about New Orleans?
I did not have anything from New Orleans. I mean, both Ingram and Kamara out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're playing anybody outside of those guys.
Yeah, I said skip it. I just didn't know if you had anything. I didn't know if it was an intentional.
Skip. Yeah, I mean, like basically all I had to say about New Orleans was that I have nothing to say about New Orleans.
Right. I mean, I hope that you stayed away from them. Alvin Kamara is probably the only person that I want on that team. Besides,
I'm worried about him.
Right.
Like it's getting to the point now. They've been pretty secretive about it, and it's getting to the point now where they're losing so many games that they might just shut him down.
Right.
And I would be worried about that. I mean, if you have Mark Ingram, then I guess that's like you're like, okay, but you're still losing a top 5 running back for a guy that has decent replacement value, but is not Alvin Kamara.
Right.
Jets at Houston. Zach Wilson may have hurt Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, 4 for 46. Had 1 rush for 7 yards, 9.3 fantasy points. He had 8 targets. It was weird because I saw the interception, obviously. I
don't think Zach
Elijah Moore numbers.
Right.
And then I saw the score and I said, wait a second, they won. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
I got to watch this game over again because I have no idea how they could have won with all of that happening. But
yeah, it was a funky day. I kind of expected that. I said it last week. If Zach Wilson is the guy, Elijah Moore loses, that great upside that people were going to pick him up as on the waiver wires, as we talked about. I wanted him as one of my number 1 guys. But that was before I heard about the Zach Wilson curse of coming back and just no double digits for guy around playoff time, which is always helpful if you're trying to lose. There's nothing else I need to talk about for the Jets here.
There's one thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's Carter now officially on IR.
Yep.
We kind of talked about how I was worried anyway about Tevin Coleman's involvement and their love affair with him. That did not stop. Tevin Coleman had 18 touches to Ty Johnson's 6.
Right.
I don't want a Jet, but if there was a Jet that I would want right now, it would probably be Elijah Moore, and then it might be Tevin Coleman just because of the volume.
Yeah, I picked him up this week, and I was kind of encouraged by his just the vast number of touches he got. He wasn't overly efficient. 16 for 67 isn't terrible, but it's not exactly glowing numbers. 2 receptions for 3 yards is always kind of like, at that point, might as well drop the ball. Like, you're not really helping the team much, but it is what it is. But again, I don't know who you really want from the Jets with Zach Wilson at the reins, with Michael Carter on IR. Moore's an interesting choice, and so is Coleman. I mean, I have Coleman and I wanted Moore, but as far as like, we're getting into playoff time now, so it's like now it's time that you can't really be excusing people's down weeks, because your down week from this guy is going to cost you your playoff opportunity. So if you're in it to win, Jets might not be the backfield wide out situation. Definitely not quarterback situation. Heaven forbid you're in one of those leagues. But Around playoff time right now, you don't want a guy who's going to be a liability out there for you. And to get inconsistency like this from your wide receiver or running back too is not what your team needs.
Agreed. Not a team that I would want to be relying on. I could also say the same probably about the Houston Texans right now. Are you worried about Brandon Cooks? He had 3 for 45 and a touchdown. That came mostly off of a 40-yard touchdown. Very nice catch by him. Very nice throw by Tyrod.
Right.
He's had 5 targets, had 5 targets, 3 or less catches on 5 or less targets since the bye. And I think that was just like 2 weeks ago. But, and yeah, like since Tyrod's been in too. So I don't know that I'm like panicked, but really any concern from a Houston Texans player is going to like pique my interest because the reason that I think we were so high, or I was so high on Cooks, was there wasn't much to look at. Like the volume was so there that you couldn't help but overlook how bad the offense was. Now that the volume hasn't been there, albeit just a couple of weeks, I'm like already getting the itch. Like, okay, now I'm invested in a Texans player and he's not getting volume.
So I'm more encouraged by Cooks, I guess, than you are. Tyrod came back. Tyrod's trying to get himself back composed to be the quarterback that he was. Because if we look back to when Tyrod was healthy week 1 and 2, Brandon Cooks got 7 targets, 18.2 points. Week 2 against Cleveland, he got 14 targets for 22.8 points. So, Tyrod and him do have a connection. I'm not worried about it. I just think Tyrod's trying to get himself figured out. Brandon Cooks, he did get downgraded for me from a wide receiver 1 to an upside wide receiver 2 to a flex, but he's a must-start wide receiver 2 or flex for me. I'm okay with Brandon Cooks just because he does get an insane amount of value. This Jets game was a weird game to watch. Just going to say that. So I'm not going to take this one with a whole bunch of salt. I think it is what it is, but Brandon Cooks has way better days to come. And to be the number 1 guy on your team, on a team that's more likely going to be down and going to have to throw, Brandon Cooks is not the worst option out there.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have him in the same range as you. Are you a big salt guy?
Salt, pepper, that's choice for me, bud.
See, I'm not like a big spice it up guy. I kind of like it plain.
That's not that's not spice though. I learned from different people that salt and pepper, it's not spice. It's just that's like
mineral.
It's like a base thing that you need to put on and stuff, and then you need the onions
on everything.
Not everything. Obviously,
what do you put salt on?
If you're making a nice steak, nice ribeye, you need salt, pepper, some onion, some garlic.
I agree with the pepper. I'm like more conservative with my salt use. I just don't think you need it much unless it's like a hard-boiled egg. Hard-boiled egg, you need the salt on.
I'm not saying you gotta douse the thing. I'm not
or
saying
maybe if it's like snowing, like maybe there's some ice, salt. Eagles at Giants.
That's true.
Next game to cover. And we have an apology to hand out to Jalen Hurts. Sorry. Jalen Hurts, 6.86 points, 3 picks. He did have 77 yards on the ground, but we were just talking about him as the most consistent fantasy quarterback, and we jinxed him, and that's just what happened.
I think I called the jinx too. So
probably
I tried to reverse the jinx by calling the jinx. That didn't happen.
This Eagles team just has a lot of stuff going on with them. Miles Sanders also, he just needs to leave. He needs to go as far away from that organization as possible. I think Eagles fans would probably also agree with me because he's just hated. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he did. I don't want to speculate.
It was behind closed doors. That's all.
There's some sort of reason why over the last few years, this organization just doesn't like him. It's like the Aaron Jones thing when Aaron Jones was like not getting snaps early in his career when he was playing well. It's just he had 9 for 64 rushing, 1 catch for 0 yards. He was out carried by Boston Scott. I want to look at the snap count for this one as well. If I can pull it up quickly.
Very quick, I see. So
Quickly. Yeah, he was out snapped by Boston Scott. Boston Scott got 51% of the snaps. Miles Sanders got 33. Kenneth Gainwell, who was a healthy scratch last week, obviously, well, Jordan Howard got hurt, so I guess that makes more sense why he's in. They did not want to use him at all when Miles Sanders was hurt. He got 16% of the snaps. This organization just hates Miles Sanders, and I feel bad because I think the fans love him. But he needs to go. My recommendation would be somewhere in the AFC West where he is just as far away from the Eagles as possible because he's very good. Like, if you look at his efficiency over the last couple weeks, he's been awesome. He's just not getting the touches. And he got hurt in this game.
Right. He got hurt, and I think it was the second quarter. Or sorry, second half he was injured. Yeah, second half he was injured. They're not sure what it is yet. So obviously on Tuesday or Thursday, we will give you more information on the Miles Sanders news. Jalen Hurts, I think it says he's hurt or at least questionable. So I don't know what happened to Jalen. Maybe they're just confused, like how he could be so consistent and drop to 6. So obviously he must have been hurt. This game was just a scratch for the Eagles. Just like New Orleans was a scratch, I think this game's a scratch. Like, nothing to talk about except for the inconsistency in this backfield.
Did I just go on a big Miles Sanders rant just for him to be hurt?
I think so. I think you did. And I was looking at the whole time that it said he was hurt again. I was like, maybe Kondo just doesn't understand. Like in the second half, Miles Sanders couldn't play because.
Well, did he get taken out? I think that would be the big thing.
I think he was taken out.
Okay. Well, then I just look like a big old doofus, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, it's what I am. I don't want to give the wrong impression. So
you know who made us look like a doofus?
Jalen Hurts.
I was going to say Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down something about Saquon too. Saquon had 9.3 fantasy points, 13 for 40 on the ground, 4 for 13 through the air. I just wrote be patient. I mean, he's still coming back from injury. We kind of saw this in the first couple weeks of the season. I would just kind of be patient with it. He's somebody in one league where we haven't had our deadline yet. I'm kind of thinking about trying to go after. So
I also would like to go after Saquon just because I think better days are to come. But right now he's down digressing. At half-point leagues, he looks a lot worse just because he got 4 catches this game. 4 points out of 9 is not half, but pretty close to it when you add in the receiving yards he got. Definitely a guy I think you should go after because this was a Phillies team who is 25th in terms of points to the running back. Like, this should have been a good day for Saquon. Kenny Galladay was healthy and Evan Ingram. Besides that, it was like, Shepard, Tony, and Kyle Rudolph were all hurt. So, like, who else you going to really throw to out here? It should have been a good day for him, and it wasn't. So even though I do want Saquon, I think it's mainly because of the name value. If Saquon was producing, if another player was producing like Saquon was, most people would have been looking to get rid of him, and not many people would look to want him. I mean, Cordell Patterson's a perfect example. Cordell Patterson, running back 2 with most of the running backs healthy earlier on this season before everyone really started to get hurt, and no one wanted Cordell Patterson. They, a lot of leagues I was in, they were trying to trade, what the heck? What a weird, anyway. A lot of leagues I was in, they were trying to trade like backups and handcuffs and guys who are ranked like 40th right now, and like trying to trade that for him because the name value isn't there. So I think Saquon's name value is kind of helping him right now. Because if you look at the Giants O-line's terrible. Just like say what it is. So like Saquon really has 2 good weeks so far this entire season. Sent like 2 good weeks, got hurt, came back from injury, got you 11, then got you 9. Underneath double digits in half-point leagues for these 2 weeks he came back. I think like I want him just because of the upside he could potentially bring. But at the same time, it's like you have to understand what you're getting yourself into with a guy who is not the Saquon of old.
I don't know that he's not the Saquon of old. Like I think he can still be the Saquon of old. He's very well. We just got breaking news. Christian McCaffrey out for the season with the ankle injury.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk more about that
when we get to the Carolina game.
When we get to the Panthers, but I did want to break that. That is huge, obviously.
I seem bigger.
Okay. There were some commissioner duties to take care of as well. There's a lot going on right now.
You're just handling your duty right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm multitasking. So, yeah, Saquon Barkley. That's what we're talking about. I think, like you said, there's still that Saquon. I don't think name value is always a bad thing because I just think that shows the upside of what a person can do. You look at Cordell Patterson and like, of course you're not going to have that trust in Cordell Patterson right away because, I mean, guy's been in the league for so long and we haven't seen him get an opportunity anywhere near this. Like,
but it's the first time he's been given the opportunity to do this. Because in Minnesota, Cordell Patterson was good. Like when given,
he was good in his role, but like
right. But that's what I'm saying. Like he was good before. People just weren't paying attention.
But he was never good. He was never good as like an offensive player. I mean, he was never utilized. Like he was never utilized now as an offensive player. He was good on special teams.
He was good when given touches. If you watched him, I kind of look at him like I would a rookie. Like this year, Najee Harris. Never played in the league before. No name value other than drafted.
I mean, he's a first-round draft pick, and you like saw the upside in college. So yeah,
you saw the upside.
I get what you're trying to say. Yes.
But like, how many times have we watched college players come to the NFL and completely bust? Like,
but we've seen.
But like, that's what I'm saying.
The thing with running backs is like, normally for running backs, that first season is like when they have a really good year. Christian McCaffrey had a pretty good year his rookie year. Saquon Barkley, we're talking about Saquon Barkley. His best fantasy season was in his rookie year. You will get some of these rookies that put up good seasons in their rookie year. Jonathan Taylor last year. So like, there's guys that can produce early on. I guess we can talk more about Cordell Patterson another time. But as far as Saquon goes, I think that upside is still there. And we talk about, I mean, he had a really bad day and he still got you 9.3. I think better days are ahead, like you said, for Saquon Barkley. And I would just be patient.
One last thing I want to say before we move on. Okay. Little known guy, some people might know, named Adrian Peterson. Regarded as one of the better running backs ever play the league. His best year did not come one of his best years did not come to his 5th.
But he was also awesome as a rookie, wasn't he?
He had 1,000 yards, or 1,300 on his rookie. Second year at 1,760, and he was drafted 2007. 2012, he had over 2,000 yards on the ground.
Well, yeah.
So, like I mean,
but you're happy with that rookie year. Like,
you're happy with the
my point is that guys can come in at running back and produce right away.
Right, but I'm just saying, Cordell Patterson wasn't given the opportunity before, but just because he's not a rookie, people were disregarding him and being like, his touches aren't legit. His name value isn't there, even though he's having one of the best seasons he's had. Like, definitely the best season. All I'm saying is name value pulls a lot. I'm agreeing with you that name value pulls, but you need to get
Well, I think it's an opportunity. If you want to buy on a guy with a lesser name early on, you have more of a likelihood to do that because he has a lesser name, like because it's new to it. But it also comes with the risk that this guy hasn't performed like this before. So there's no real like previous track record. And I think that's what a lot of people go off of because that's a pretty like logical thing to do is say, oh, this guy did this for one game. It could be a blip in the radar. It could also not be. But it's just like a calculated risk thing. And Cordell Patterson having a surprise season, there's a lot of guys that looked like they were going to have surprise seasons that have fallen off. So I think that like if you bet right on Cordell Patterson, that's awesome. And like he has been really good this year and like definitely someone that I think after a few weeks we were able, both of us, I mean, you were early on it and I was able to come around and I'm normally pretty cautious.
Right.
And say this guy's going to be good, but I don't blame people for having that kind of just calculated risk of being like, we haven't seen this before.
Since we are talking about Atlanta now, the Atlanta-Jacksonville day, Cordell Patterson with a 27.5 bomb, absolutely destroyed it. A little throwback knowledge, if you will, from Cordell Patterson. 2013, he got 12 touches on the ground, 158 yards on the ground in those 12 touches. 2014, 10 touches, 117 yards. So Cordell Patterson has a track record of just being highly explosive on the ground. 15 and 16, he was god awful, only averaging 6.1 yards a touch and 7.5. But yeah, he also went to the Patriots and the Bears, which definitely hurts your chances of looking like a stud. But anyway, Cordell Patterson, now that he's with Atlanta, gets to be the true diamond that he is on this coal-filled team.
We're going to have to rename this show the Cordell Patterson Show.
I think we should. It's only right that we do.
Good things for Cordell Patterson mean, unfortunately, bad things for Mike Davis. 7.1 in this one, 5 carries for 16 yards, 3 catches for 25 yards, though.
Right.
Are you dropping Mike Davis at this time?
Let me answer your question with a question. Are you dropping Miles Sanders?
I'm not. I think that Miles Sanders is a better talent, though.
Miles Sanders got outscored by Mike Davis. So,
well, yeah, but if you
it would make more sense to keep.
You gotta let me come back from that and say, if you look, asked who would you rather start a team with, or who is the more talented player, Mike Davis or Miles Sanders? Like, who would you pick? Because I could also say that for like a bunch of guys. You could say that guys less talented. You could say Dontrell Hilliard outscored Saquon Barkley, and we know that. We know that you're not going to rather have Dontrell Hilliard than Saquon Barkley.
I guess, see, this is where the name game kind of comes into play a little bit, and it kind of hurts people if they're going with the name game.
And it helps in the same regard.
I mean, it helps and hurts. I mean, if you started Hilliard this week, you're very happy. If you started Saquon or Sanders.
But that's what fantasy football is, though. It's calculated risk. You're starting guys based off a track record.
Right, you're starting guys. You start off guys off your track record and also a gut feeling that you have. Mike Davis has more points than Nick Chubb. I think so. I mean, Baker is just pissing off everyone's dad. So, as we'll talk about later in the show, Kareem Hunt's about to get dropped. Nick Chubb's probably next. Actually, probably it's going to go Jarvis and then Nick Chubb, where it's going to go wide receiver, running back, until it's just Baker running the ball himself. But anyway, I don't think you drop Mike Davis just because, like, the first half of the season he was getting you double digits. He just hasn't been able to do that as of late. But again, if Cordell Patterson, God forbid, ever were to miss time, I think Mike Davis would he's not the explosive talent that a lot of these other guys are, but I think he would be able to do at least get you double digits, which I think is more than you can say for guys who are in a trifecta in a backfield. So,
see, that's what I was trying to say to myself at the beginning also, but then I go to last week where Cordell Patterson didn't play and he got 5.1. So, like, it's tough. I think if you have a better option out there, if you're high up on the waiver boards and you have a chance to get somebody like, obviously you're dropping him for Alexander Mattison, or even some of these other backup running backs that are going to have more of a prominent role going forward. Do you do that?
I don't know if I would do it just because they played 5.1 with Cordell Patterson out. They played New England. If you take a look at Atlanta, who do they actually have as a weapon? Mike Davis is their starting running back. If you neutralize the run game, it's much easier to, get a little handsy on the outside and throw people off the route and then pressure the quarterback. So obviously stopping the run is just something a little bit easier to do. New England takes away your best strategy, which in this case is running the ball for Atlanta with Calvin Ridley out and Kyle Pitts just not looking what I had hoped that he would look like. So again, everyone's had down weeks. That's why I'm just more fruitful on Mike Davis, but I'm with you. Alexander Mattison, I think, is just going to explode. If Dalvin
you have a track record of that. Exactly. I'm more worried, not as much because, I think we've seen it. We saw in week 11, Mike Davis split with Quadre Allison, and he actually split the snaps evenly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that he gets this role that is the Atlanta running back, which hasn't been good for anybody besides Cordell Patterson. Even in the beginning of the season when Mike Davis was the primary guy, it's not like he was flourishing in it. I just don't really know what the upside is with him. And I feel like there's more upside options out there, especially in a week like this week, where I would feel fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's somebody out like Jamal Williams, I would rather have than him. There's just
what
other
options. What team does Jamal Williams play for, kind of?
He plays for the Lions, but we've seen
Lions,
that team.
Tigers, and Bears, baby. Woo!
Okay. Going to not this game. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. I'm frazzled.
You are dazzled and razzled.
We got to hurry up too as well.
No.
So Joe Mixon and T. Higgins go off.
That they did.
Really, the Joe Mixon thing, that's kind of been established that he's just going to be a top running back despite me. But T. Higgins, I think, is the bigger one here, more because of Jamar Chase. Concern levels on Jamar Chase. He has 3 catches in 3 of his last 4. And he went 3 for 39 on only 3 targets in this one.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Chase. I said that. I just said what happened to Chase. This is not what you kind of want to see going into the playoff push here. You don't want to see this. I'd look to put him on the bench till he proves me wrong. If not, try to move him if you still can. Because you can't drop him. He has too much talent, but you need to get someone in there who's going to perform for you till he comes back. But yeah, Mixon looked great. Higgins is coming into it. Good things if you were one of those owners. Definitely not sad about either of those guys. I had a question, Kondo.
Okay.
I said, are you finally with me on Big Ben that he needs to retire? Go to being a QB coach. Share the knowledge. He's a smart guy, really smart guy. So much knowledge up in the head. He's just not mobile. Just can't move. He can't throw like he used to. He's just not, and he's not as strong as he used to be, where he used to be able to take a hit and then push the D lineman off of him and then make a 25-yard zinger on a line here to the open man. He can't do that anymore.
There's plenty of teams that are trying to win in spite of their quarterback. That's, I think, what you're trying to what line you're trying to toe with Ben right now is are they trying to win in spite of him, or is he just an average quarterback and they need everything else to go right? Because there's a lot of those guys out there as well.
Deontay Johnson is an amazing wide receiver. Najee Harris is a fantastic young running back so far. We'll see how the career plays out for him. Hope for the best. But Big Ben is not helping them. And I think it's kind of showing in the fantasy numbers as well, of just if you go down early because of bad quarterback play, your running back gets affected by it. Because Najee Harris.
I also think that if their offensive line hasn't done them any help either. I don't think that Ben has helped them, but if you watch that game, you see that there's guys all over Ben too. not making excuses for Ben because like there's been games where that hasn't been the case, and I don't think he's delivered anything crazy.
Yes.
I think they got a couple things to address on that offense in particular, and they're just not really a great football team. That being said, Pat Freiermuth is a consistent part of this offense. 440 and a touchdown for 14 points. I think he's like an every week tight end starter. Last quick one. Do you trust Chase Claypool? He has 14 and 11 in his last two, 80 plus yards, and 8 targets.
It's got to be a name game for him. So it's got to be just a personal choice because, again, quarterback play plays a big part into it. Personally, I'm staying away from Chase Claypool. But again, if you have Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, or Chase Claypool, you're going to go with Chase Claypool out of those guys. I mean, he has a big opportunity. Sanders and Beasley just haven't really been performing as consistent as you like. And obviously, Myers isn't great. But again, has to be a name game on your own team. It's just a thought you have to have. I don't want him because of the quarterback play. This is, tie it back in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting him over like all the guys you mentioned because he has upside. He has that just like he has 80 yards in all of those games and has had big games despite like not catching a ton of balls with all those target volume. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I want to see where he's kind of coming in on these rankings. He's coming in at wide receiver 30 ahead of Hunter Renfrow. I think that's crazy. I would much rather have Hunter Renfrow.
Yep.
Much rather have Hunter Renfrow. Elijah Moore is an interesting one.
If Zach Wilson's the quarterback, give me Chase Claypool. If Zach Wilson is out, which he should be, then give me Moore.
Interesting. I'd probably go Moore still over him. I just think that the volume is going to be there more consistently because like this is the last 2 weeks that we're talking about that he's had a good opportunity, but it's not like Juju's been out for 2 weeks. Juju's been out for a lot longer than 2 weeks, and he did not do much with it then. So I'm a little less trustful of it. We will see how it goes. Like next week, if he has another big week, then I might have to change my tone a little bit. This one hurt. I wrote this down, and I think it's just a pretty clear description of the game. I said Carson would have been the reason we won, but he was the reason we lost, which is a very Carson Wentz thing to say. And yeah, like it was just kind of, we're just not in that tier. We're not. And we never have been since we had like Luck and even when we had Luck, like he was awesome, but we were never in that tier. Like that's one of the tough things about being a Colts fan, especially since the Peyton Manning days and like the pass rush and all of those guys. We're just like, there's never a game where we're going against like a really good team where we're better than them talent wise. And we weren't, and that showed. Like we were not better than the Bucs, and we were winning at the half. And I said, things are going pretty well, but I'm still very scared. And yeah, we just got beat by a better team and made mistakes. Like you can't, if you're playing against a Bucs team, you can't make mistakes. And we had a couple really dumb turnovers in the second half and just gave it away. Nobody cares about that though. They care about Leonard Fournette putting up 44 points, 4 touchdowns. I wouldn't count on like RB1 numbers like this. I don't think they're going to have to run the ball as much as they did in this game. It was just kind of weird. Evans and Godwin both under 5 points. Jack Doyle had 20 points.
He did.
I don't think any of those things are going to happen again. I don't think it's nothing for Fournette. Still very solidly in that RB2 mix. But to know he has this kind of upside is cool, but I don't think you want him to be your RB1.
So I'm on a different side of the ball than you. I'm mainly, so this game I thought was, it started off a little rough for me, just personally, because Andrew Senjo over here, number 42 on the Colts, with a cheap shot on Tom Brady.
You can't. He was on your team, and you can't even say his name right. And you want to call him out for throwing out cheap shots. That really shows where your loyalty's at, buddy.
So threw a cheap shot. First one of his career, so honestly, it must just
not
be
the first. I mean, he had one where he like knocked himself out.
Yeah, but that's team on team. That's fine. This is another.
What do you mean? He knocked out his own teammate. I feel like that's worse.
All right, so if you punch your brother, it's okay. But if someone else punches,
not okay.
But if someone else punches
we do
your
not
brother,
encourage violence.
But if someone else punches your brother, it's a big deal. Anyway, like I'm saying, Leonard Fournette.
The only killer that we like is the serial killer, and it's not in the way that you think is a serial killer. It's the spelling. It's really funny. You wouldn't get it unless you saw it.
Yeah,
but just know that it's not like an actual serial killer. Right. We don't condone violence.
Right. So as I was saying, Tampa Bay and Fournette was like, hey, Indy, second best run defense in the league. Why don't we go out there and smash him in the mouth after they hit Tom Brady on a cheap shot back of the head here? And Fournette was like, give me the ball, coach. I'll run him over. Smacked him.
Best run defense in the league?
Indy, number 2.
In fantasy points?
In fantasy points to the running back.
Okay.
So, like, I think I said that last week. I said there was.
I mean, they might. I was thinking like yardage wise. I was like, we're definitely not number 2 there.
No. But in terms of fantasy points, because you can let up 100 rushing yards, but it's only 10 points.
Yeah, I mean they're 18th in yardage.
Right, which is still pretty good. That's like 100 yards again. Anyway, right? Is that around 100?
It's 114.
Okay. Last time I looked, it was like 100. But anyway, Fournette carried the team. I don't think it's going to happen week in and week out, but I think he was like, hey, JT, my 4 touchdowns actually count this week, unlike yours, and, ran it in on him. I think it was just more of a revenge game for, Leonard, sticking up for his quarterback like he had to do.
Big revenge game for Pierre Desir getting the pick at the end on a play that made no sense. But I'm not going to get into that.
No, I think this game's kind of a wash all the way around. I don't think Fournette's going to lead the team with 44 points. I don't think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both going to be underneath 5 points again. I don't think Tom Brady's going to get you underneath 12. Carson probably won't hit 20 points again for the entire season. I think the only one who actually is around where I'm expecting is Jonathan Taylor and T.Y. Hilton. Jonathan Taylor got you 19, and T.Y. got you 12.8. I could see that being their averages for the rest of the year. So you're not disappointed by either of those guys. But almost everyone else, you're just kind of like, it was a mythical game. It's not going to happen week in and week out.
So that's high expectations for T.Y. I think that's something to talk about. I mean, 4 for 28 and a touchdown, 5 targets, 12.8. I don't know that I'm feeling great about T.Y. I'm not like rostering T.Y.
I think T.Y. has a good chance to get a touchdown if they get in close, just because of his his shiftiness, and fans love him. Like, if you want to try to get the crowd back in the game, you need to get the ball to T.Y. Hilton. No one cares about, no one really, I don't want to say no one cares about, but if T.Y. Hilton catches a touchdown, the place will go crazy, okay? Jonathan Taylor ran the ball in 5 times. No one cared. Like, you could hear a pin drop on the turf.
I don't know about that.
That
might be a bit of exaggeration.
No one cared at all. They literally said, I'm turning this game off. Like, this is pointless. Give the ball to T.Y. And they did it this week, and the crowd literally erupted. Like, I could hear it from my house, and I'm not even near Indy. So, obviously, big T.Y.
T.Y.'s never really been a touchdown guy. I do love the get the crowd into it, have T.Y. score a touchdown, though. That is a real, I think just my connection, maybe. My tabs all out there. But no need to panic. Internet's fine.
I'm panicking.
But yeah, I do love that strategy. I think that's thinking about the game inside the game, and I love that.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I think we're maybe thinking a little bit harder than they all, like the rest of the NFL there. I think we're a step ahead.
Yeah.
We got to keep moving.
Being keeper moving, bud.
Cam, bad. CMC, walking boot, bad. CMC out for the year, bad. I don't want Hubbard either.
Woo! Miles Gaskin, baby. That's what we're
Well, I feel like we got to spend a little bit of time talking about it before you talk about Myles Gaskin, who he scored 2 touchdowns that salvaged his day.
Hey, 2 touchdowns, all you need, baby.
We got to talk about CMC. I think the biggest thing here is if I had Hubbard, it's hard because, like we said, trade deadline's mostly passed, and yeah, I don't want Hubbard. I want no part of it. They play Atlanta, and then playoffs they play Buffalo, Tampa Bay, New Orleans. I said if I had CMC, I'm fine with that.
Right.
They don't have CMC. I am not fine with that. They're going to have trouble running the ball. Hubbard is not matchup proof, and I just don't want any part of it.
Right, like I said earlier on in the season.
No, I don't think that that's the case. I think it's that he's not matchup proof, and it is the hardest schedule in the NFL the rest of the way. I don't think that he's 3 years before he should even be able to step on field, like you said. But I just think the matchup would be hard for any backup running back.
Right. I mean, Atlanta, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Tampa Bay again, if you happen to play into week 18 for some weird reason. Not a easy one. We did just see Matt Breida drop a 13-point bomb. So obviously New Orleans isn't that bulletproof anymore because Matt Breida is lesser talent than Hubbard, apparently, from Condo's standpoint. Yeah, if you have Hubbard, I don't think if you are still able to trade, utilize the CMC name, package those 2 guys together and get someone good.
I don't know that you're packaging CMC for anything at this point.
I mean, hey, like I said, there's some people you can't, some people you can't. I did get an offer for CMC today.
That makes sense.
So CMC.
Did you take it?
No, CMC for Alexander Madison. It's a close one, really is. But I'm gonna have to pass the gas here. Yeah, Hubbard's not a guy who I'm looking to roster. Tough playoff schedule. He's just not a guy who is matchup proof and not a guy who you're going to want to count on when the nitty-gritty gets nitty-gritty.
Great. Gaskin broke the curse, as you mentioned, 16 for 49. He had 2 touchdowns. He also had a big day receiving, 2 catches, 3 yards.
2 for 3, baby. 2 for 3.
19.2. Yeah, I mean, he scored touchdowns. And Cam just couldn't stop throwing completions for the Miami Dolphins. One thing that did stand out to me here, as Gaskin does break the curse, we're happy for him.
Right.
But also something to watch out for. Philip Lindsay went 12 for 42 in his first game. I think that volume is surprising. I don't know about surprising, but not encouraging for Myles Gaskin. I think he should definitely be a guy that you look out for if you are a Gaskin owner. And if you're kind of lower on the waiver totem pole,
maybe get him, yeah.
I think he's someone to look for.
Right. So yeah, Gaskin broke the curse against just tough Carolina defense. Knew he could do it. Finally, I've been saying that every week. Finally did it for me. So obviously I'm shooting 100 here. Philip Lindsay did have an efficient day on the ground, but after Myles Gaskin broke the curse like this, there really is no point to even have Philip Lindsay. Send him back. We don't need him. Miami's too warm for a curly-haired guy like that anyway. Speaking of Cam Newton, though, he did have 1 less turnover than Carson Wentz.
Okay.
He had 1 less turnover than Carson Wentz. It just so happens that Cam Newton decided to, throw his left hand the entire game. So that was also rough to watch.
Tennessee, New England. We finally have some answers for this Tennessee run game. And
what's that?
It's Dante Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard. Foreman, 19 for 109. 1 catch for 3 yards. He had a big 30-yard run that boosted his day a little bit. I mean, he still ran pretty efficiently. It was pretty open season for these running backs. Hilliard, 12 for 131, had a 68-yard touchdown and 1 catch for 2 yards for 18.3. I mean, it's cool to see them running the ball and to see that there is somebody to roster in the Tennessee backfield when we're desperate for running backs. I think that it's going to be pretty even between the two. I'd
Mhm.
like to see who's going to get more like passing work
Right.
because you'd think that would be Hilliard just because he did
Right.
have 8 catches the week before. But we'll see how it unfolds. Are you confident starting? Well, they both have bye week this week, so I guess it don't matter too much there. And I guess we'll revisit it because we have a lot to still cover.
Right. They have
Um,
Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Miami, Houston. Very easy schedule. I feel comfortable with either of those guys until I figure out who the number one guy is going to be.
Are you? What was that?
This laptop is trying to like explode.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Well, we
tough.
wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Drop Ryan Tannehill, I would
Mhm.
say. He has less
Right.
than 10 in the last 12. He has no receivers right now either.
None.
And he's on a bye week, so I don't think
Exactly.
you really need to hold
Yeah.
on to him.
Yeah.
And as for New England, they're kind of in a weird situation. Their offense team's playing great. I mean,
Absolutely.
aren't they? They might be the number 1 seed in the AFC right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think so. Mac Jones is the best quarterback in the draft class for sure.
But I don't know who you're really relying on fantasy-wise
Kendrick
other than
Bourne.
like Damian Harris. And Damian Harris is just like a low running back too.
Kendrick Bourne, Damian Harris, Nick Folk.
Are you starting Kendrick Bourne week in and week out though?
Am I? Me, probably. I mean, I have a track record of throwing up people and then having them dud on me. Just, JJ was 0 freaking points. Emmanuel Sanders was 0. So, yeah, I would. He kind of seems to be going on every other week thing since week 9. Week 9, single. Week 10, 24. Week 11, 8.9. Week 12, 23.1. So every other week sort of thing. But I don't know. I like Kendrick Bourne. He's definitely moving up on my love list right now. But no, really just Nick Folk. Damian Harris is interesting guy just because running back is getting so thin. CMC out, Dalvin out, Derrick Henry out, Kamara out, Saquon looking like this, Zeke out. I mean, the list goes on and on. Aaron Jones out. Like the list is going on and on of people just banged up and being pitiful. So obviously you need a running back who is going to be a starter.
Yeah. Agreed. We covered that one.
We did talk about that game.
Chargers at the Broncos.
Yes. Oh.
Anyone who saw my Instagram, good laugh. I think I spent 4 hours making like a video for my one bet of the week because it took me too long to make the video. Couldn't make any other bets.
Correct.
And it was just the Chargers.
Correct.
And of course, this would happen. I would say credit to the Denver defense for making them look bad, but the Chargers really haven't been consistent on offense all year, and it doesn't really affect anyone outside of Mike Williams, but I would keep it in mind at least. Like I could see Herbert having some tough stretches. I think Eckler's fine. I think Keenan Allen's fine as like a safe play. But it definitely limits his upside. Just some games like this team just doesn't look like what we expect from an offense that has Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, and Mike Williams.
Yeah, this team is not performing for real football, but for fantasy football, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen are getting you numbers that you're happy with. Justin Herbert is getting you – he just got you a respectable week of almost 20 points, especially when Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, all these other guys are getting you single digits. Mike Williams, I think, is actually the problem here. This is the second most targets he's gotten since week 4. He got 8 targets, got you 7 points. He got you 16 against Cleveland in week 5. So he is really just – I think the problem was they looked to give him the ball, and they shouldn't because he's just not going to catch it for them. And so that's just a wasted possession. You throw the ball to him 2 times. That's a missed second and a missed third. Now you got to punt it. Just is what it is. Give the ball to, Jared Cook. I'm pretty sure he's like the second leading or third all-time receiving.
What are we in fucking 2015?
Jared Cook is has the third most receiving yards from a tight end. I want to see this guy get to number 1. I want to see it. He's on a team to do it. You got Keenan Allen. Give it to Keenan. Keenan only got 10 targets. Bump him up. Rookie numbers. Keenan Allen's a beast. Give him the ball. Austin Eckler, second best running back in the league. Give him the ball. Like, stop trying to force feed Mike Williams because Mike Williams is inconsistent in his ability to catch the ball. I know you have a huge infatuation.
I don't have an infatuation for him. I think somebody has just been down on him and saying, I don't like Mike Williams since early on in the season. I feel like you're just kind of saying, kind of sticking with that and trying to like force that into your opinion, which is fine.
But I've been right. But I have been right about this.
You can bend it into whatever you want. Yeah, but if you're saying that, like, I think you've been right about his production, but I don't know that you're right in it's all Mike Williams' fault that this offense doesn't look right. I don't think that's true.
When he's catching less than half the passes thrown to him, it's hurting the team. End of sentence. Like Las Vegas, he went 1 for 4. Cleveland 8 for 16. Baltimore 2 for 5. New England 2 for 5. Philly 2 for 5. Like, if you're gonna catch half the balls, you're hurting your team. So if we're gonna talk about real football, he's hurting his team. For fantasy, he's extremely boom or bust with a lot more bust potential than boom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on fantasy. I'm not blaming the whole Chargers offense on Mike Williams. That's probably where I differ.
I didn't say the whole team was his. I didn't say the whole.
You just said that. You said the whole offense struggles when they try to get the ball to Mike Williams.
Does the whole offense struggle when your wide receiver doesn't catch the ball and you have to leave and do a 3 and out? Your whole offense struggles, correct?
I don't think he's dropping the ball every time he's targeted.
If you drop it over half the time,
I don't think he's dropping it half the time. You cannot complete targets to a guy and then have him not drop. That's not a conversation that we need to have on this show because that is not helping anybody.
We're having it.
But we're very different in that regard. I do not believe Mike Williams is the kryptonite to the Chargers. Javonte Williams played awesome in this game.
20 points, baby. That was really it.
Interesting to look at. He has been on the slight favorable side of the snap count with Melvin Gordon the last 2 weeks. It's been 57-43 and then 58-42 as far as percentage wise. He only did that once in the previous 9 weeks. Something to keep an eye on.
Right.
But I don't think Melvin Gordon's ever going away.
Mm-hmm.
It might just be like hope for a slightly bigger role. Melvin Gordon still had more carries in this game as well. So, like, you're not – I think people might look at this and say, because he got the touchdown, Javonte. It's Javonte time. I wouldn't go there yet.
I'm with you, but not all the way. Just because without the touchdown, he still outscored Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon got you underneath 10 points. Javonte got you over 10 with the touchdown and without it. So Javonte has been – they switched it. Javonte is looking good again. He was out there for more. He just wasn't getting the touches. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But you're right. Melvin Gordon's not going to go away. Melvin Gordon has talent, but so does Williams. And
yeah, agreed. I think Javonte's the better running back just watching the game. Like, it's just that I don't think if you give one guy 17 touches and one guy 18 touches, that's good. Like, and especially when you're up in a game like this and controlling it, you can do that. I don't think the Broncos are going to be controlling as many games as this.
I don't think people expected them to control this game.
No.
Which I thought was
as shown by my dumb video.
Right.
But I don't think that they're going to.
The video was
a team that we expect.
The video was nice though.
Up in many games. Oh, the video was sick. It's just that I had to freaking bet on the Chargers, and that kind of ruined it.
You should do it for the Colts next week.
Who do we play?
I don't know.
It's a good question. I think it can't be someone worse unless we play Arizona next week. It's either Arizona or I don't have to look that up right now.
No, we got games to cover, baby.
The Rams at Packers.
Oh yeah.
I think likewise, you could say what is happening with the Rams. Same with the Chargers, although the Rams are like kind of a notch above. So like them struggling a little bit is not the same as the Chargers struggling a little bit. Mm-hmm. And for the Rams, I think it's more of a problem in real life than fantasy wise because their offense still, like, all of their guys produced pretty much in this game. Van Jefferson, Odell, Cooper Kupp. I think they're all, like, they all have decent outlooks going forward.
Mhm.
And I'm not really worried about anybody on the Rams. I don't know if
No, their defense was kind of what I felt like was the problem here. You put up 28 points, your defense should help you out a little bit here. But they played Green Bay. Green Bay is a very good offense. They've been playing very well, beating the undefeated team, and which was Arizona. So Green Bay is a force to be reckoned with. Kind of what I thought was going to happen. I'm not blaming this loss on the Rams. I'm just more congratulating Green Bay. That being said, OBJ was the leading receiver in terms of fantasy points, like I predicted. You're welcome, everyone who wanted to listen to me. Outscored Cooper Kupp. Should have traded him while you had the chance. Yeah, I mean, Odell did look good out there. He looked healthy, which I thought was a positive note after being injured for like 2-3 years after he wanted to be traded. It's nice to see him out there running around being healthy.
he did not look healthy at the end of it. He kept grabbing at his back.
When you have to carry the team like that, Kondo,
he obviously did.
Number one leading receiver. That's all I gotta say. Leading receiver.
This show is going to actually be renamed the Cordell Patterson Show, and then the rest of it is just Cody bragging. It's a pretty long title, but I think it's actually pretty descriptive of what the show is. Oh, we still have to talk about Green Bay. Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
10 for 23, no receptions.
Right.
They had a pretty sizable lead, so it makes sense. But
exactly.
They have a bye week next week. Mm-hmm. Are you starting Jones or Dylan versus Chicago after the bye?
Give me Aaron Jones. If Chicago is going to be competitive, then give me Aaron Jones, because if it's going to be a competitive game, he's going to get the work of it.
Yeah, and they said that this is going to be – I think we thought he would sit until after the bye, or I did. Right. So I think he should be a little bit more healthy. Mm-hmm. I don't mind really either guy. I think it is going to be a little bit more evenly split. Kind of like a Zeke and Pollard situation, but I'm probably going to lean Aaron Jones just because Aaron Jones has the track record there. Minnesota can talk about probably the biggest news until we just got that Christian McCaffrey thing. Dalvin was already playing with one torn labrum. He dislocated his other shoulder in this game and tore his other labrum. Not a great outlook. We certainly expect him to miss some time. They said they're hoping to get him back for a playoff run. So maybe a little bit of a chance for a regular season return. But how late will it really be in time for even fantasy playoffs to make an impact? We will see.
Exactly.
I mean, Madison, we've kind of beat the drum on trying to pick him up on waivers for weeks. I'm sure that he's going to be the number one guy for both of us tomorrow. And yeah, like that's why we pride ourselves on just taking a lot of handcuffs and like having your handcuffs for your guys. Like it's always
the smart
a very safe move.
Right. I mean, Dalvin Cook, even when he came back against Cleveland the first time when he was injured, he looked terrible. Like, as a Vikings fan, it was sad to see, because Dalvin Cook is a guy who can run 100-plus yards on any team in the NFL. And to see him just be, like, have such a pitiful performance, even the first week he comes back, I'm still, if I have Alexander Madison, I'm going to be playing Alexander Madison the first week Dalvin comes back. Just because track record has shown Dalvin takes a game or two to come back from an injury, and he's already been injured. He has another torn labrum and he popped his shoulder out, dislocated or whatever.
And a torn labrum in that shoulder.
Right. So like he's gonna I don't know how you carry the ball without using your shoulder. If you can find a way that's legal in the NFL, I'd love to see it. But you kind of need those to be efficient.
To be a running back, like you're ramming into guys with your shoulder.
With your
like
shoulder, they're hitting you in the shoulder. Like, it's a bad combination. That's why I'm starting Madison even when Dalvin comes back for the first week at least, and then gonna see going forward. But Madison is the most valuable handcuff in the NFL at this time, just because Pollard is an iffy one to play because Zeke isn't guaranteed, and Hubbard is just not comparable to CMC.
Agreed. And
another injury this game, Kondo.
Yes, you want to talk about Anthony Barr or?
Oh, Anthony Barr got the Vikings defense.
Or was that a Debo call? I just knew the Anthony Barr mentioning earlier.
Oh, and the Vikings defense is pitiful. I'm going to talk about it. We just keep getting beat up on the defensive side of the ball. We keep losing people. It is what it is. But thank God we have the best offense in the league with the two best wide receivers, best running back when healthy. And
Adam Thielen has been awesome so far this year. Wide receiver 7, just very underrated. Just want to get that out. That doesn't really need to be talked about too much. We can talk about Debo. Looks like he's going to miss some time on the other side with a groin injury. We don't know how much. Little less severe, we expect, than the Dalvin situation.
Correct.
But obviously opens things up for the Ayuk hype, which is just huge.
It's only been rising, man. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, 4 of his last 5 games have been double digits for Brandon Ayuk. They're playing Seattle, Cincinnati, and Atlanta their next 3 games. If Debo is to miss time, he is going to be the number 1 wide receiver without doubt. It's going to be Brandon Ayuk's time to shine for sure, and these next coming weeks with Debo out. So if you're a Debo owner, or if he's, if you still have trades to do, try to get him. But he's going to look good for these next couple of weeks.
I think it boosts Kittle too, and a lot of people might be panicked on Kittle after a tough week. I think he had 1.8. He might have had more in full point. He had
2.3 in full point.
But yeah, people might be panicking on him. Don't be if you have him.
Right.
Last person I want to talk about, Elijah Mitchell, 27.8. Clear guy and starter. I would say week in and week out, someone whose stock is definitely rising going into the playoff stretch.
Absolutely.
Sunday night. This was a gross one.
I did not like this game.
Juice. 6 for 11. 6 for 111. Excuse me. That's very different. 10 targets, 15.1 fantasy points. I mean, sure, if you're in a bind, but I think from this game, you could clearly see that there are no Cleveland Browns that you really want to invest in offensively besides Nick Chubb. And I don't even know if you want to start Kareem Hunt until he shows you that he can do something or that this offense can do something.
So, I mean, Kareem Hunt was held out of Cleveland's last drive possession with a calf injury, or a calf ailment.
They said it was a stiff calf, right?
Yeah, I don't know what to believe out of this Cleveland organization anymore. Obviously, we see Odell thriving elsewhere, but Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb be free. Just because, Baker is not looking like a good quarterback. Same conversation I had about Big Ben. He is hurting their team more than helping them. They are winning despite him, not because of him.
They're not winning.
Exactly. They're not winning anyway. But, the first game after they got rid of Odell, they won. And everyone's like, oh, man, Baker wasn't the problem. And now they're just losing to pitiful teams that they should be beating because they have such a fantastic defense.
They've just had some injury problems on that offensive line. I think they
were healthy this game. They were healthy.
Well, Jack Conklin got hurt pretty early on. I don't think. I mean, Baker is playing hurt, so I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for that. But I just don't think that they're very healthy or very well. Kind of they're just not playing like a good football team right now. They're playing like a mediocre football team, and that's how you lose a game when their quarterback throws 4 picks. I would say, speaking of Lamar, for that, stars on the Baltimore side kind of salvaged their day. That was very sly. Didn't even notice any movement on the toady side of the webcam. But most of the people kind of salvaged the day. But I would be a little bit worried about Lamar heading into this last stretch. I don't think like I'm worried that he's going to throw 4 picks every time. I'm just more, I think you're looking for more consistency,
Right.
and Lamar has been very like up and down, and that's something that scares me. I feel like some weeks he might win you your week, and then some weeks he might lose you your week, and you don't want anybody who's going to lose you your week heading into these last few games.
Right. This is the first time Lamar has got you, single digits. So it is like the worst he has ever done for you so far this year.
But he's had a lot of games where it's been
He's
like
had some games that's been close to being like, that's been bad, but he's also got you the 40-point games.
yeah.
So
I
Lamar,
get a
it's
little bit worried about games like this where like I get that this is the worst of it, but there's a lot of up and down that I'm concerned with this team heading into not the easiest stretch here with Pittsburgh.
Cleveland, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Rams, Pittsburgh again.
Not the toughest, but not the easiest. I'm not.
Right. I'm with you. I mean, Lamar was projected as the highest scoring offensive player this week, and to see him drop to a 9.4 week performance for you, it was kind of discouraging. Obviously, watching the game, him and Baker were just like, I don't want to play offense, you take it. And Lamar came out, he's like, hey, I don't want to play offense, you take it. And he's like, no, I don't want to play you. This is back and forth, really sharing his caring Thanksgiving spirit, honestly, if you think about it. They just both cared so much about the other team's defensive health that they said, we're not going to play any offensive snaps. But yeah, Mark Andrews and Brown, probably guys I like moving forward. I wasn't really high on Freeman coming into the week, and I was kind of right, But we haven't seen Lamar have a running back have double digits back to back, and continued this week. So
yeah, I think Freeman
mhm.
I think I guess I kind of said it's like was going to get touches and he was going to give you like a solid week. He got you 7. I mean, I was kind of expecting around that like 8 to 10 range. Not too far off. I think that's kind of what to expect from Freeman going forward, and hope he gets in the end zone is really it. On to tonight's game. That is it for the games that have already happened. We're going to go through this one really quick because we talked about this on Friday. Just kind of recapping. I think it could be a Seattle get-right game. Their offense has struggled mightily since Russ came back. Both of these defenses haven't been great over the season, but are kind of shaping into form a little bit. If you look at the Washington defense, I am a little bit worried. I was worried about the Seattle backfield before, but I'm especially worried just against this defense as well. Washington is 7th in rush yards allowed, and they've been 4th in the NFL in the last 3. And they haven't been playing offenses that don't have like any running game either. So like I want to just look to make sure that that's not a bold-faced lie.
It's like Green Bay, Denver, bye week, Tampa Bay, Carolina.
I mean, playing Carolina last week. So, like, I am not pumped about any of these running backs because none of them are Christian McCaffrey. None of them are Leonard Fournette. None of them are either of the Denver backs. So, I am not ecstatic about having any of those guys out there. I do like the receivers for both teams.
I love DK. I love Russ. Really, besides those two, I'm not super ecstatic about anyone else just because Tyler Lockett is a guy who has big play potential for sure. But if my guess is right, Seattle is going to mop the floor of Washington. It's going to be one-sided at best. And I can just kind of see them just ground and pound it and get some dead possessions and not really need to throw the ball because they're going to be up by, 14 points and not really need to throw the ball every time. So I like Russ and I like DK for get-right games for those guys. Block it. I mean, obviously, if you have a flex position open, you have to play them now. So there's not much to talk about for these guys.
Yeah, I like Lockett in this one as well. I think that's pretty even between DK and Lockett. I just feel like DK might. I don't know that he's going to get like the volume that Lockett's going to get.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm just having kind of a feeling there, but I do think that DK gets a touchdown. I'm going through a situation where I need to figure out who to start between DK and Terry McLaurin, and it will change by the minute, and I'm not sure who it's going to be, but I just have a weird feeling that DK is going to score a touchdown.
I would go Scary Terry just because they're going to have to throw, just because, super unbiased opinion here, because I'm not definitely up by 8 points on a guy who has Gibson as his sole guy left to play this week. But I really just think that Gibson's not going to be able to do much. Hopefully just like a pitiful 5 points would be great for me. And Scary Terry can just steal the show with like a 40-point bomb. So hopefully
that would be awesome if we start him. If we don't start him, then we don't want that. But
no, I want Scary Terry to go off. I don't need Gibson to do anything this game. He can just take the night.
But you said that DK is going to go off too, so that really gives me just nowhere to go.
Oh no, I said I like him more. Like I think like he's going to be the guy to get you some points. Like I think he's going to score more than Lockett. Sorry.
Do you think he's going to score more than like 8 points? Just pulling a number out of thin air here.
Yeah, I could see 8 to 13 for him, whereas I can only see like 5 to 7 to maybe 8 for Lockett. Like I've seen a lower game for Lockett, much better game for DK, just because I think on the first
13.
I think it's like the first drive he gets like 2 catches short. They run it a bunch, maybe one pass to Lockett, and then DK gets a touchdown.
Okay, well we got to stop beating around the bush there. Who do I start between DK and Terry then?
I said Scary Terry. I said that.
But what do you think? But you said Terry's going to get 8 to 13, right?
No, I didn't. I said Tyler Lockett's getting DK's getting 8 to 13. I think Scary Terry's going to get a clear double digit, maybe 15 plus. That's what I'm hoping for. And honestly, I think that's what's going to happen because you have a team that's lesser talent.
Interesting. Yeah, whatever Cody says.
I am right. This is the Cody Bragg Show.
Happy late Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Second Take Extra. Happy late Thanksgiving.
We hope your Thanksgiving, everyone's Thanksgiving that's watching, was great as well. It's nice. Get a few days off.
Yeah, sure.
Although we did miss you guys. I was stewing, just ready to spew my fantasy takes. And as well as just like the excess food in my belly all over my family, who was just more interested in like probably things other than fantasy football.
Yeah, makes sense.
Wi-Fi is good. We have made superb transformation to the stew, as we like to call her. Yeah, she's all set up. We got Ethernet connection now. No Wi-Fi needed.
That is nice.
Things are going to be a little bit different around here, in the wise words of Mason Ramsey.
We did
CMC
cover
out for the season. We did talk about that. Yeah, stay away from Hubbard. Don't buy into the trap. Dan Arnold on IR. This I forgot to talk about. It was on my notes. He's going to win me games. I don't want to say my league. I don't want to jinx it. But James O'Shaughnessy, another tight end pickup. I'm going to talk about him tomorrow. I'm excited. James O'Shaughnessy is going to be a guy who's going to win people leagues. And it's going to be awesome, because who doesn't want James O'Shaughnessy to be the reason that they win? We talked about we're dropping Nick Chubb. Mike Davis or Alexander Madison rest of the season. I think this one's for you, Toady.
Rest of season, give me Madison. Brendan Dye, I hate CMC. Brendan Dye hates CMC. Hate's a strong word.
It is strong.
I don't know if you should hate anyone. It's Thanksgiving. Be thankful. Maybe say I'm thankful for a lot of people other than over CMC would probably be how I would phrase it, just because we're in the season of giving, Thanksgiving.
Could we get one of those for Justin Fields from you?
No, that's just not.
Jared Cook or Tyler Conklin rest of the season. That's a very tough one. That's a tough one, Toady.
That's tough. Give me the man with the better hair. I'll let you decide who that is, but I already know who it is. Man with the better hair.
Okay. This is wild. J. Ken 40 also in a similar situation. Do I start DK or Terry? Half-point PPR. It's wild. Mine also just so happens to be an half-point PPR. Also, is only asking for your opinion.
Go with Terry, just because Washington's gonna be down. I think they're gonna have to throw.
Waddle is great.
He is indeed.
We did not talk about Waddle just because we were running a little long, but yeah, he's kind of like high wide receiver 2 right now, which is crazy.
He's looking really good out there.
Favorite Thanksgiving sides? I go green bean casserole, number 1, firmly, and cranberry sauce. I have a weird take, and I've been going to a lot of people with this and asking how weird it is. I don't think it's, from what I've heard, it's not bad. It's just interesting.
What is it?
So I don't do this all the time, but sometimes I don't mind a little cranberry sauce on the turkey.
I'm not a big cranberry guy, but I guess I can see where that would be good. I'm always with green bean casserole is my favorite side dish.
Yep.
Yes, so we're aware. But I'm always with take the green bean casserole. So first you cut the roll. Cut the roll, take the top off. Green bean casserole is the ground. Put some white meat right there. Put another layer of green bean casserole. Okay. Put some dark meat on top of it.
Oh my God.
Put some butter on top of the, upper layer of the roll. Squish it down. Eat that. Delicious.
That's another level of Thanksgiving eating.
That's absolutely, it's so good. I also had mac and cheese for the first time for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I always thought that's
I've never had
interesting Thanksgiving food I've never had before.
First time having it, gotta say, it went pretty good with the turkey. So
yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
I wasn't opposed to it. Pretty good.
Do I drop
Deontay Johnson or Dearness Johnson?
Dearness Johnson, I would imagine, and Jeff Wilson for Boston Scott and P. Ryan. Sure. I don't have a problem with that.
I have a problem with Dearness Johnson just because if Kareem Hunt is to miss time, I think Dearness Johnson gets a step up again. We saw how good he could be, whereas Boston Scott's in like a triple, maybe even quadruple backfield back there. So I would do it over him, but definitely do Jeff Wilson for P. Ryan for sure.
I'd rather have Boston Scott just because he's leading. And I guess we don't know what the Miles Sanders situation is, whether he's healthy or not. Right. And I very clearly don't know what the Miles Sanders situation is, as was shown on the show. Everybody is saying cranberry sauce on turkey's fine. So
yeah. It's David Johnson.
David Johnson.
David Johnson. Oh, get rid of David Johnson. My bad.
Yes, I agree.
Do that wholeheartedly.
Mari and Alvin back for Thursday Night Football. I think it's looking like Amari Cooper's. We don't know with all the COVID stuff,
right?
What's going to happen? But like, I wouldn't be pumping yourself up about Alvin Kamara coming back. I've already said I'm pretty scared if I have him.
Right, scared of them both.
I did see this one pop up. Saints appear poised to make a quarterback change. Taysom Hill taking the first team reps in practice this week. I think he'd be an interesting quarterback play if you need one.
Yeah, Taysom Hill, going back to the Alvin Kamara take here for a second. Taysom Hill kind of hurts Kamara even more than, the Saints already kind of have. But when Taysom Hill is in, Kamara doesn't get those checkdowns. Taysom Hill is more poised to run, sort of like a Lamar with his backfield, where he doesn't throw the checkdowns to the running backs. So he is going to, if Taysom Hill is the number one guy and Kamara comes back, it's going to be a tough one.
Down 21-ish. I got Heineke. Thoughts?
Sometimes you have to lose a week. That's all I got to say.
I mean, I don't.
21 that's got to be one of the better scores of the week. This has been a rough week for everyone. Taylor Heineke is definitely a good quarterback. Just not 21 points. He would be above Carson Wentz, Herbert, Tyrod. He's above like a Tom Brady, a Lamar. He's above all these guys. Like, I don't It's tough.
I mean, Dontrell Hilliard's outscored Saquon Barkley. Anything can happen. And
Dontrell Hilliard over Saquon Barkley. Heard it here first.
if you know anything about me, I'm really hoping this. Can you hear that?
Oh, it's a train. I hear a train. I don't get it.
That's Taylor Heineke train rolling through. Yeah, Taylor Heineke, you're going to win your week. I don't feel great about it, but I'm saying it, and that's what counts. I've been talking about the Taylor Heineke train for a while. I'm on. Yeah, strap up. It's going to be a wild ride, but I think he'll get you there eventually. He's going to have a rushing touchdown tonight.
Taylor Heineke only has 2 games above 21 points.
Hey, make it 3.
All right.
Rendon or Mike Davis rest of the season. That's easy call for me. I think that might be a little tougher for Cody. I'm taking Rendon.
Yeah, give me Rendon. His bold takes would make him just a monster on the field. Probably hurt some feelings, make the defense cry, score some easy tutties.
Miles Sanders probably missing time. That's
more than likely
not great. And I mean, if he's in, I'm not positive that he gets great usage when he's in because they just don't like him.
Amen.
Stafford over Lamar this season. I agree. They just throw it a lot.
Yep.
Logan Thomas and Deebo Samuel back. He got 20 in lots of weeks. Oh,
thank you.
That's the train. I get it. Okay. Yeah, he was talking about Heineke.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks defense they have been better. So both of these defenses have been better, and the offenses have not consistently been great. So I'm not sure that this is going to be an offensive explosion of a game, but we will, we'll see. Up by 7, have Sly going against Russ. Do I have the W? I would hope so. I would hope that Russ is able to regroup a little bit. So
no, he's going against Russ.
Oh,
so Russ
Sly against. Okay, then I hope I would.
Now you already said it. You already said Russ is going to go off.
Yeah, I think Russ is going to have a solid game.
Good luck. Good luck.
Colts versus Vikings game will be wild on this channel.
Is that real? Is that really our matchup this week?
No, we played the Texans, so I will do a bet slip on the Colts, I suppose. Up 26, and I'm playing DK. Well, I might be starting DK, so.
Well, you're fine because DK is not going to drop 26 points.
We'll see. We'll see.
We will see. When I'm right, you can thank me then when you win your week.
Yeah. That is it for us today.
Yes.
Thank you all for watching. As always, we will be back tomorrow with our waiver picks. And we'll see you then.